Hi, I'm Mike Hogan, the CEO of Kubernetes, and I just want to give you a quick overview of what we mean when we say everything is code. So, what's been happening is more and more functions have been shifting left toward the developer. The developer is taking on more and more of these functions and doing so through code and automation. Now, those functions that they've taken over include QA, where they've automated testing, all of that, which can be both functional and scale testing. They've automated security, where you're running automated tests against your code, looking for things like vulnerability, secrets, malwares, compliance, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is called security as code, policy as code, those sorts of things. Then they have operations, DevOps, where the developer is taking responsibility not just for building the code, but actually operating the code. So that everything, all responsibility flows back to that developer of that piece of code. And more recently, the provisioning, often called GitOps, which is an automated pipeline as code or infrastructure as code. So infrastructure as code is one piece of it. Pipeline of as code is more the entire process. And so a lot of people, when they look at this and they see this evolution, they think that this is solely about automation and speed. And there's no question that is part of it, but there are a lot of other advantages. So let me just run through some of those. One is quality and consistency. When you commit things to code, they're very, very consistent because not only are you deploying that code, but others within your organization will be using that same code. Example being infrastructure as code. When you automate that pipeline, that tends to be passed around. Code is very it gets passed around quite a bit. It's used in common by a lot of people. The other thing is that you get distributed knowledge. So instead of relying on someone, for example, on the provisioning side, they would rely on IT experts who were very focused in particular areas of expertise, say storage, but not just storage, but storage of certain vendors and things like that. Now, what code has done is it has abstracted that so that you can have a lot more flexibility on deployment because it being put into code, it can be worked across any infrastructure, any cloud operator, for example. So you really abstract away the IT vendor kind of lock-in and make it much more universal. There's also the issue of improved security. So when things are committed to code, you can analyze that code and look for security holes. And this kind of goes to not just the kind of community effort around optimizing that code. In other words, you're leveraging expertise of the community as that code evolves and gets better and better, more and more secure, takes advantage of all of the testing and everything that's done to that code. But then you have the automated testing of that code. So you can look at it for vulnerabilities and secrets and things like that. And so that really hardens the code and makes it much more high quality, much more consistent, much more secure, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the other nice thing is that you gain the advantage when things are committed to code, you gain the advantage of compliance. So that code, as I said, can be analyzed for, say, for example, for security, for provisioning, et cetera. And then that analysis, the results of that analysis can be run by your company policy to figure out, does this adhere to our company policy? Are we maintaining compliance? And then similarly, everything is logged, so you have the advantage of being able to look back at who made what changes over time, things like that, so the governance becomes a whole lot easier. Now, what does this mean for the different roles and responsibilities within the organization? For the developer, it means more and more is being put on that developer's shoulders. Now, fortunately, this is being done within the CI/CD pipeline process, so a lot of this is being automated and actually making the developer far more efficient and making the development process faster, more agile. It is also very disruptive for the IT, the folks who were those specialists, oftentimes in particular vendor products and things like that. They're really being disintermediated because the code handles all of that. So you no longer need those kind of in-house specialists, and instead you're really leveraging the expertise of the entire community or the entire world in terms of that shared code that is being passed around. It's also going to be extremely disruptive for IT vendors who have really developed sort of that IT expertise and lock-in and things like that. They can no longer rely on that because more and more of that selection process is either being abstracted away because it's just run by code, or it's being pushed to the developer. And many of these IT vendors do not have a developer channel. They have no relationship with developers, and they're really going to be disrupted by the new wave of IT vendors who really focus on that developer. So a lot of change is coming, a lot of advantages are coming, and you might keep an eye out for the everything is code. Thank you.